What do we make now? Is the question that was posed after making a truly definitive Mario Kart experience, with Deluxe 8 coming to an end. With the booster courses doubling the tracks of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which already included DLC from the Wii U version, mind you, how do you up the ante on the following game? If you needed to make a new entry in the Mario Kart series without just making it Super Smash Bros. With go-karts, what would you come up with? I think it's at this point in development somebody just facepalmed and suddenly realized how deep the Mario series bag is, especially when it comes to what we're going to be talking about in this video, the character roster. I want to talk about the freakish roster of Mario Kart World, specifically the creature category characters. I wouldn't necessarily call them all bad guys unless this Pianta has done something we were not meant to know about. More importantly, I want to theorize how the roster could have been significantly improved. But first, like any good Nintendo fan, I need to voice my complaints for the public to see, and for the billion-dollar company to ignore. Where is Diddy? As in the Kong? I personally think there's a high chance that he's off running his controversially named baseball team in the Super Mario Baseball League. Where is Funky Kong? I think the least they could have done for making so many Donkey Kong fanatics angry is allow him to race with his good friends. To be honest, I recorded some 8 footage for this video. I get it's an older game because it was on the Wii U initially, but I do not like how they did Donkey Kong in this game, man. Blatantly, he does not look well. I am sick to my stomach. Also, we now know that Pauline is higher up on the food chain than both of them, though she's definitely still lower on the food chain than the babies, since she only gets one costume and the babies brought an entire wardrobe with them. Now, based on the thumbnail and some of the characters I've shown thus far, you might think I'm just letting a bunch of creatures, a bunch of freaks who don't deserve it into Mario Kart World. And low-key, you're right. You're right. But I'm not going to try to do what I was doing for Smash Bros. When I was in middle school. I was one of those annoying kids back in the day, man. I used to theory craft in my head reasons why a character can or can't be in Super Smash Bros. Now that I'm older, the best rule of thumb I think is if the character will elicit a big enough reaction out of the players, they have a chance of getting in.
Who else can they add?
That shit does not apply to Mario Kart World though. I mean, you think it would with characters like Cow. Just peep the trailers, bro. Everyone was reacting to them. But then they added Fishbone and Coin Coffer. I can guarantee nobody popped off when they saw those two, man. If they can exist in this game, Ukihi and Strolling Stew should be invited as well. I guess I'm being a little disingenuous though. I'm not gonna lie and say that I didn't think it was funny as hell when that guy on the Nintendo Treehouse Live presentation for Mario Kart World was being hit with hundreds of comments saying drop the price, only to pick the character named Coin Coffer. He knew that Nintendo fans were going to buy it regardless, man. That's honestly baller as hell if he did that intentionally. But yeah, I actually love the way the roster is now, even if I am just laughing at half these inclusions. But because of how far Nintendo went with these obscure inclusions, it makes me think of all the other possibilities, you know? And that's what the meat and potatoes of this video is going to be. Just me, a guy with like 30 subscribers, yapping about funny little creatures I'd like to see in Mario Kart World. Now let's get some of the ones I've already mentioned out of the way, man. Strolling Stew? I know you see the vision. I think he'd have a lot to offer if he was in here. Although he doesn't really give off the Mario Sunshine vibe that I think Cataquack and Pianta emit. They're a much less common enemy in that game from what I remember. And to be honest, I could see more people wanting the Nokis from Sunshine more than them. But respectfully, if you look at these two and say you want the Nokis more than Strolling Stew, I probably wouldn't respect your opinion as much. Nokis don't have close to the amount of sheer aura that Strolling Stew has. I could go on about that for longer, but I'll chill for now. The Bully. I specifically like the appearance before it got updated when he still had pointy horns instead of these more curved ones. There's a little event that happens from time to time where bullies and ice versions of bullies can appear on some of the tracks, but that really doesn't mean anything in regards to hindering his chances of getting in. Spikes are also throwing deathly lethal spheres out of the back of a moving vehicle, but he still gets to race all the same. I like this old bully design, and I remember fighting him back in Mario Kart DS and Mario 64. He's cool, he's pretty iconic. I think they should put him in the game. Oh hell nah. I don't even know the last game Ukiki's made an appearance in, man. They could be in Mario Kart World and I just haven't seen them, like in the open world somewhere. The last game I remember seeing him in with 100% certainty is that one minigame in Mario Party 8, where you have to like make him avoid bonking his head with coconuts while he climbs a pole. And I have such a vivid memory of this because the motion inputs were frankly irredeemable on this specific minigame for some reason. Anyway, as far as I know, this game is monkeyless outside of our resident ape Donkey Kong. But I really like Ukiki and think we should add him to the list of additional creatures that get to race. It'd be cool if one of his trick animations was him twirling around Mario's hat to reference 64, dude. I think that'd be so cool. Also, I found this when I was doing research. That's cool as heck. Shout out to this person for being on the right side of history and making awesome art. Alright, this is a big one. Mouser. Man, this one just feels like it was so close to coming true. I don't know why, but when I saw Rocky Wrench and the crab, I was almost certain of his inclusion on the roster. But unfortunately, he's nowhere in sight. This is just sad, dude. Birdo and Shy Guy got the main character treatment on the roster too, both being given more outfits than DK. Birdo and Shy Guy are not the only peak character designs to come out of Super Mario Bros. 2. And I'ma just say it, Birdo is scary as hell compared to Mouser. I don't like that, bro. I don't like that little hole. Her redesign looks a little off to me. I don't mess with her. If anybody should have been a main character of the Mario cast, it should have been Mouser. He should have been like Bowser's right-hand man or something, dog. I would prefer him to Kamek too. It should have been him. I need a little break with some one-off characters I want to see in the game, but don't really have much to say about. Give me Toko Toko from Super Mario Land. I like the way they be speeding around that one track with their little arms flailing. Put them in a cart post-haste. I recently started playing through Super Mario Galaxy 2, and I really like these things. After doing some research, I found out these are called Kleptoads. They don't do all that much. In fact, I think they literally only appear in one level. Regardless, I would pay solid coins to race as them. Alright, but now I need you to bear with me for a sec. Now we're going to step into what can be considered uncharted territory. You might be like, huh? What does that mean? Hear me out. Instead of limiting ourselves to the freaks that only appear in titles that have Super Mario on the cover, let's bring in some characters from the depths of the Mario universe. Specifically, I want to talk about characters primarily from Yoshi or Donkey Kong games. Let's start with DK. Now, I'm not crazy enough to recommend a character like Naughty or Mankey Kong, but even still, let's get a little ambitious. On top of bringing back Diddy and Funky Kong, let's throw in the GOAT, King K. Rool, and add a little bit of Claptrap on the side. A never before seen, very simple character from Donkey Kong Country. I just pray they don't feel the need to make him bipedal like in the show. Preferably just have him lay on the bike or cart like the dolphin does, please. Anyway, I think those 4 additions to the roster would immediately make it feel like more of a big-time racing game. Moving on over to Yoshi, I'm honestly starting to feel a little woozy, bro. There's a ton of characters I want from the Yoshi series because I really like a lot of their designs, but I just can't think of who to pick, man. Would I be including Bumpty and Burt because I think they would genuinely add variety to the roster, or simply because of my own bias and selfishness? Now that I think about it, most of the characters I've mentioned anyway don't really have a damn thing to add to the roster. And Nintendo themselves don't seem to care who's added all that much. The bar is lower than it's ever been. I'm not going to force myself to explain the significance of Kleptoad compared to Cheep Cheep, but in a way that's kind of liberating. The nonsensical nature of these noteworthy newcomers is my entire reason for making this video. Here's the thing, for most people actually playing Mario Kart World, they're not going to care whether or not Mouser makes an appearance. They're going to see the fish or penguin and immediately be like, oh cool, you can play as cute critters now. But for die-hard freaks who know where these funny looking guys come from, it's even cooler because you understand just how insane of a pick it is to allow Cataquack or Rocky Wrench to race. Even if I know deep in my heart that Kleptoad wouldn't even be considered, in a way I think this roster is Nintendo's best work when it comes to representing the Mario franchise. At least it would have been. If there's anything you, the viewer, can take away from this video, I think it would be that next time you go to this page on the character select screen, instead of looking at them as a bunch of creatures, maybe take a second to appreciate their existence in this game as a whole. Because God knows your drunk uncle during the holidays will not give Coin Coffer the appreciation he deserves.